Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this year's Aura Insight Impact Award seminar. It's 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of September in the year 2020. This is the third and final set of presentations from the finalists of this year's Insight Impact Award. I will remind you that these nominations were made by you, the members of Aura, which is why they are so coveted. For those of you joining us for the first time today, I am Tom Kerr. I'm Treasurer of Aura, and I will be your host. So thank you to everyone for joining us. I will assume that you are all sitting comfortably, so let's begin. The first of this afternoon's presentations is by Legal & General, and it's called Long-Term Care Research, Putting Care Seekers' Voices at the Heart of Business Strategy. And the presenters will be Charlotte May, Claire Chisholm and Victoria Ward. Charlotte and Claire were faced with an interesting challenge. There was an opportunity for Legal & General to move into the care provision market, and the executive team at Legal & General wanted to know if the L&G brand could stretch into this new territory, and in fact, if they should enter this market. Further to this, the leadership team wanted to know how it could best be done. The Insight team were asked to explore whether the L&G brand could stretch into care, whether L&G should enter this market, and if it would be appropriate to invest in a new care concierge startup business. In this presentation, Charlotte, Claire and Vicky will explain how they tackled the challenge and what the outcome was. The presentation is going to last for 20 minutes, after which there will be a 10-minute question and answer session. So please put your questions into the box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll ask Claire and Vicky to respond to the questions at the end of the presentation. Before I hand over to our presenters, can I just remind you that we need you to rate the presentation as per our standard practice at the RAF Club. The winners of all this year's awards will be announced in the award ceremony at 4 p.m. this afternoon. If you haven't registered for the award already, there's still time to do so. Simply go onto the Aura website and register. Your opinions matter, so please do take time to submit your rating. We are researchers after all. Evaluation is in our DNA. It's now time for me to hand over to Charlotte, Claire and Vicky to take us through the presentation. Charlotte, Claire, Vicky, are you ready?
Thank you, Tom.
Over to you.
I'm Claire Chisholm at Legal & General, and I'd like to talk you through our project on care. I'll be joined by Vicky Ward from The Big Window, Charlotte May at L&G, and I'm delighted that our key stakeholder, John Powell, will at the end be sharing his thoughts on how the research has impacted on the business. So long-term care has been a fiercely topical debate, and I'm sure we're all familiar with some of the harder stats around ageing. Already by 2016, there were over 1.5 million people aged 85 or over in the UK. The number of people likely to require care is set to increase dramatically with the ageing demographic. Even before COVID, there was a national care crisis that really successive governments have not tackled. COVID in itself has brought care challenges front and centre, with approaching 20,000 deaths of care home residents. But we know it's not just about statistics. The whole area of care is tremendously personal, full of challenges. Not just for those receiving care, but for those trying to organise it also. I have some personal insight into this, as my mother-in-law moved in with us this year, and I first-hand experience of the confusion and difficulty in establishing where to go to get help, the form filling, hanging on the phone. The system is such sheer hard work. And while much research exists on the planning and funding of care, there's a real lack of understanding of the care seekers' experiences at the sharp end. Have a listen to one care seeker's thoughts on this.
I think to start with, it would be all about my husband and his needs kind of thing. And then I think we should be asked questions and what we think that we could do with, because although I keep on, oh, my husband, as a carer, it's such hard work, and nobody says to me, like, oh, how are you? You know, it's always, oh, how's Keith? You know, how's he doing?
That's why this project is so important. As we said in the presentation title, we want to put care seekers at the heart of our business strategy. As part of our broader L&G purpose of inclusive capitalism, Legal and General Retail Retirement Solutions were created last year to enable people to lead longer, healthier, independent lives through retirement, with a focus on 3 areas. Being a champion for care seekers' needs, so their voices are heard. Creating a platform to enable people to find the care that they need to make those solutions a lot more transparent. And also leading the charge to disrupt the status quo. L&G took an early action and invested in Care Sourcer, a startup providing a care concierge service. But it was unclear if the L&G brand could or indeed should stretch into care. So in the research we were tasked with, understanding the care seeker's journey, the impact of brand, and how Care Sourcer in itself might be accelerated to drive our business objectives, both within retirement living solutions and more widely in inclusive capitalism. I'll now pass over to Vicky, who will talk through what we did in a bit more detail.
Yes, hello. I'm Vicky Ward from The Big Window, where we've done a lot of research into this important subject. So we were delighted when Legal and General came to us with this project. But we were also well aware that it would present several research challenges. And looking back, the success of the project was due to a rigorous yet empathetic design, together with tailored research techniques which allowed us to navigate through this emotional landscape and to draw out evidence in a way that brought value to the participants as well as to Legal and General. So where did we start? Well, to help Legal and General deliver on their ambition of putting care seekers at the heart of business strategy, we needed to make sure they could be really confident in the insights surfaced by the research. So we had to ensure that we were talking to the right people, people who were able to draw on fresh experiences and people who were able to discuss their experiences of different stages in the care seeking journey. We needed to understand the experience of the care seekers, the care recipients themselves, and this included some potentially vulnerable customers that we needed to deal with. But importantly, we also needed to understand the experience of their partners and their adult children, who often carry a lot of the burden. Having recruited the right people, we needed to be mindful, as Claire said earlier, that while long-term care is the subject of national debate, it is also a deeply personal subject. These are notoriously difficult conversations for people to have, yet the project demanded substantive insight. It was clear that we needed to tread very delicately when initiating these often emotional discussions. So using specialist interviewing skills and some tailored research techniques, we succeeded in creating a safe, non-judgmental space in which participants could share their stories. Not only were we able to surface deep insights in this way, but many of those who took part said they found sharing their experiences very helpful. So what did our approach involve? Well, we used a mix of qualitative research methods with viewed group discussions to investigate the role of financial brands and brand stretch in this space, and depth interviews to really dig in and explore the detail of individual care seekers' journeys. And in the depth interview phase, we constructed not just one-to-one interviews, but we also conducted paired depth and triads to capture the important family dynamic, the interplay between the care recipient themselves, their partners, and their adult children at different stages in the journey. We also spoke with a selection of care professionals to gain an expert perspective on the journey. So what did we